Hi, this is Cristina Dam, and this is Liberate the podcast, where we educate, motivate, inspire, and liberate your consciousness. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Liberate the podcast. Today, we have one of our resident facilitators with us, Gina Skye. She is amazing. She kind of puts together everything that I love. So she's a soul-aligned holistic therapy is what the type of work that she does. And she's also the founder of Neuro Breathwork, which I'm really interested to learn a little bit more about because I feel like it's like my favorite things. It's NLP and hypnotherapy mixed with pranic healing and energy and sound and really all about that soul alignment of the mind, body, and soul. And so today we're going to be deep diving into some of that stuff and the subconscious mind and how all of that plays a part. And so welcome.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here with us. I mean, you've been doing Soundbaths with us for the last few years, pre-COVID, also some breath work. And then I know that you have your own private practice where you see one-on-one people. And so, I always like to start out learning a little bit about how you got into what you're doing, right? And then, especially since I'm even more fascinated because, I'm an NLP and a hypnotherapy trainer as well as all the energy stuff. I haven't gotten into the sound stuff, but it's always fascinating to see somebody's journey of incorporating all those different things. Because a lot of people will go down one rabbit hole, right? And be like, okay, I'm really deep diving into sound, or I'm deep diving into NLP or hypnotherapy or energy healing. But you kind of put all of these modalities together, which I think is what's needed for change. A lot of people go to one person, but they can just have that experience with you.
Mine was my own healing journey. Okay. Going through, in 8 months, so much trauma happened all at once, and it was different things. Grief from losing my parents, a divorce, so heartbreak, right? An accident that brought physical pain and panic attacks. And I couldn't really walk for about a year. My body just reacted to the trauma. Edema, just all these things. I left a job that I've been in for 19 years.
So, and this all happened in what course of time?
In 8 months to a year.
8 months.
And then I lost my mom. So my dad passed away while my mom was going through cancer treatment. So it was a lot.
So you lost your dad, your mom, your career you shifted, you got divorced,
and my accident.
And you had an accident. Mm-hmm. All at once.
All at once.
I mean,
the world was like...
they say when it rains it pours, but I mean, that's really like a thunderstorm.
It was. And I spiraled. I went down this dark place, and it was dark. When people just say it was dark, there was no light there. Okay. And I didn't want to leave the house. It's just expected stuff. But I knew that wasn't me before the accident. Before all of that, I was happy. I loved life. I loved being out with my friends. I had goals and ambitions. Mm-hmm. And then slowly these different modalities started coming into my life in layers, and they addressed certain things that I was going through. First was Reiki. Okay. I was going to ask, where was the and that was like the light turned on. Okay. It wasn't everything, but at least there was light. It started the trajectory. So you went and you started getting Reiki treatments on yourself, and then I'm guessing then that pulled you into my very first one was like a 4-hour session she did. Oh, and she's like, whoa.
What's going on here?
Yeah, she's like,
there you lots of energy. Shokure.
She was just like sweating at the end. It was so funny. But she told me, tomorrow, your senses are going to be so heightened. And this was my very first time with Reiki. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really into crystals. I worked for law. Okay. I was at a law firm, so it was very corporate. And I mean, my mom and my grandma were healers in a different way from the Middle East, but so she's like, your senses are going to be so heightened tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, then we'll see. And I had breakfast plans the next morning, And I have the pancakes and the latte and the whole shebang. And my inside is just elated. Like, oh my gosh, this is so good. My senses were so good. And I was like, she said I was going to feel like this. And that really gave me a testimony of Reiki. Wow. Because it was, wow, the light's on now. And it was almost instant for me the very next morning. And then I spent an hour every week with a friend of mine who I didn't know was an NLP practitioner. And she would talk to me just for an hour. We would just talk. Yeah. And at the end, she's like, okay, I want you to do something for me. And then, now that I know NLP, it's like she'll put me through time or she'll do a little thing. And with NLP, it's so subconscious. Sometimes we're not really aware of how it shows up until you look back and you're like, wow, I'm really changed. Something shifted.
And for those that, some of these words might be a little new. I think a lot of people know what Reiki is, which is a form of energy healing. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It's really the art and science of personal excellence, but utilizing your language and your behavior, your postures, and your physiology to transform belief systems in you. So, just in case you want to look up more on that stuff, too, as we're just going through, we know it. So make sure you know it.
and that's the beauty of now what I do is the education piece, because I feel sometimes how many of us have said, like, why is this happening to me? Mm-hmm. Why do I feel like this? I can't control it. I recently, this past year, went through a heartbreak, and knowing the physiology of what happens when we go through a breakup, even, prefrontal cortex stops, all logic stops, all the chemicals that we need stop. And all of a sudden we're in fight flight. Our nervous system is in shock. Yeah. So I feel like once we know what is happening, how we can shift it and control it, then there's a mastery in that. We're not victims anymore, right? We're going to still have to go through it and feel it. Unfortunately, that's part of the process. But that's the piece I think really, as I educate people of the subconscious mind, the language of it is, like you said, the words that we speak that paint the picture in our mind. Yeah. And it's like telling you, don't think of a blue tree. Yeah. What's in your mind now is like, what are you thinking? Tree. A blue tree. Right. So that is the subconscious mind sees the blue tree because it can't process the don't. So the biggest thing that we can do is use our words how we mean it. Yeah. What do you want versus what you don't want?
Exactly.
And then the subconscious mind is like, oh, this is the picture. This is what we want. And then there's something called the reticular activating system in our brain. It's a science. And its job is like the radar. It sees this picture and it's like, okay, I'm going to find every opportunity for you to get it. So it's not like the law of attraction. It's more, I'm going to pinpoint your awareness is so expanded now. Yeah. It's like when you want the car and you're seeing that white Camry everywhere. Yeah. That white Camry's been there the whole time. It's just now it's in our awareness and it's like, here's the opportunity, here's the opportunity, here's the download.
Here's the dealership, here's whatever it may be. Yeah. And I'm sure those that are listening had that experience of, it might be a white Camry, it might be, an orange Jeep. It doesn't really matter what it is, but like when you want something, you start to notice it everywhere, or if you just buy it, or maybe you date somebody that has that type of car, make and model, color, you notice it. It's like this sonar.
Yeah. And the key and the secret is that we use our words and our feelings and our emotions to create the picture. So what picture are we creating? Yeah. And that's the important piece. What words are we using to create this picture that taps into and uses and utilizes our power, our innate human power of the subconscious mind to be able to affect that change and create it for ourselves. We have that power, and that's that mastery. So, and it really, it takes some getting used to. I mean, I do this, and sometimes I don't want to be poor, let's just say, right? And what picture is that painting in the head right now? It's painting us being poor. And we're going to self-sabotage because that's the picture.
Yeah.
But it's like, I want to be successful, seeing 5 clients, and this is how much I'm making, and this is what I'm doing. What's that picture? And how does that energy feel now? It's a whole different type of energy. So we're tapping in to the subconscious mind. We're tapping into the energy field of it, the frequency, raising our frequency. So that's really one key element that I love to teach, because everyone's just so fascinated. It's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's amazing how people don't know, you know, like it's so much of our, the more I learn and learn about what's important in life, like what's truly important to us as a human being, having this experience and also operating within the realm that we operate in the 3D. It's just like, what did we learn in school? Like, relationships, interaction, conflict resolution, proper communication, health and well-being, how to create the life that we want, working on self-confidence and self-esteem and self-identity. Like, what? Like, none of these things. And then if you get into finances too, nobody's taught how to balance a checkbook or do anything like that either.
Yeah. And that if that's learned and applied, and habit, epigenetics, we know now that we can shift our brain, neuroplasticity. So the more and more we shift our thoughts, even though like we have to give ourselves grace. If we go there, it's like, wait a minute, no, what do I really want? If you don't want this, what do you really want? And that's the question you want to ask, and start creating that vivid picture in your mind. And with children, it's the same thing, you know, teaching them at such a young age, that very key will change everything. It's game over at that point. Oh, yeah.
They're getting the keys to everything they could possibly create and want. But I think you touched on it before, it doesn't mean that we don't have emotions, doesn't mean that we won't have problems, doesn't mean that this is like suddenly wave a wand and we have the perfect life. I don't think we'd want that anyways. No. You know, we'd be so bored, and you know, we need to feel that we're overcoming things, that there is friction, you know. If you're just lifting weights and you're like, you know, you want to feel like, and then that you're progressing and you're like, oh, now I did a little bit more. I went up in weight, or whatever the case may be. You don't want it to be easy.
Yeah, it's like that cocoon stage. That caterpillar turns itself into goo, completely broken down.
Sorry
for that mental picture, but it's true. If you're in the goo right now, we're built up. It's that refiner's fire to be remolded. And during this past year, I went through a really like crazy time. It was like
more crazy than that 8-month period.
Yeah, well, I think it was the remnants of the layer that I didn't touch on. And the universe was like, okay, we're ready for you to just deal with this layer now.
Yeah.
And as soon as it happened, I just heard, you better sit with this. And I was like, and I made that commitment. I cried for 60 days, wailed. And I allowed myself to feel it and dig deep and be able to pull out what I didn't need to carry anymore.
Yeah.
And it did go back to mourning a deeper level of my parents passing, a different change in life, fear, fight, flight. My nervous system was just in shock. So I did breath work twice a day. I have friends that are hypnotherapists that worked with me. I had an amazing community and support system, which is so important. And I allowed myself to feel, and I knew that it was temporary.
Yeah.
And I saw the vision of what I wanted. And in that time, after that 60 days, that soul joy that came for finally being vulnerable, ripping off the mask and saying, I'm going to do this. It's time, and not burying it.
Yeah.
I remember just driving one day and the music was on and I'm like, I feel so happy. Like, am I dying? Like, what's going on? I've never felt this happy. And it was because I allowed myself to do the work.
Wow.
Right. So through that darkness, like you said, we're human. There's a light at the end of the tunnel because of it. Does it suck? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish it on anyone. there's things that happen that are heart-wrenching and can never be changed, but we could choose our reactions to them at the end of the day and create the best that we can for ourselves and those around us. And I think it gave me a new knowledge and understanding of even deeper trauma and deeper pain and the allowance of feeling it and processing it, and how much the body is in control and it's not the mind. The mind-body connection is so real. And that's another thing.
I want to talk more about that because, you know, with incorporating sound healing, and then also like the vagus nerve, and, you know, like we're, you know, in your finding and through your discovery and your training, incorporating this and hearing more about this body being in control, right? Because so many people say it's the mind, it's the mind, it's the mind, it's the mind. Change your thoughts, change your thoughts, change your thoughts, change your thoughts. Go to therapy, do this, talk it out, you know? But there is something magical about incorporating and having that, and how sometimes even just doing the physical shifts the mental.
It's 90% up.
Okay, so talk to me about it.
Yeah, 80% up, 20% down.
Okay.
So the vagus nerve we talked about, and it's been around since we've been around, you know, but we were talking about it now more, and it's the biggest nerve that's attached to our central nervous system, and it goes all the way down to the gut. And what I didn't know that I found out this year was 90% of our serotonin, which is our happy chemical, is produced in the gut.
Wow.
So it's very much a body function. Gut health, our breathing is so important. Allowing and stimulating the vagus nerve, which we do with breath work, we do with sound, we do with movement. Those are certain ways that we access that. But when we're able to go from freeze to fight flight into that parasympathetic peace state, the serotonin, the dopamine get produced, the cortisol levels drop. So that also affects our immune system. If we're in constant stress, it's affecting our immune system. So when I was going through the NLP training practitioner that was helping me, the first thing she told me was, I want you to wake up and smile. And I'm like, lady, I don't want to smile. I just lost my parents. I feel like crap. I have nothing to smile about.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not going to talk to you anymore until you tell me that you've done this for 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
And to me, it was like, okay, she's crazy. Now I know what she was doing. Yeah. That mind-body connection is so real. The body will affect the brain and vice versa. So, and I just thought, you know what? And this was pre-mass days. So, I was like, I'll make other people happy. I'm going to smile to shift them. Yeah. And the little did I know, it's not a huge shift, but within a week, I was like,
I'm noticing different.
I feel a little something, you know? And I was like, okay, I can get on and with my clients now, the first thing I do is that. And some of them look at me like I'm nuts because they are they're in that deep trench. And I'm like, I know it's going to be hard. You're not going to want to do it. And it's not a fake it till you make it. I'm not asking you to lie to yourself. Yeah. It's just shifting our physiology. Like we could slouch. Yeah. If you slouch, how are you going to feel?
Yeah.
But if you're like standing up and you're smiling and then someone else smiles back at you, the chemical reaction is going to be there. The neurotransmitters shoot through our entire body before we even have a chance to be cognizant of it. Yeah. So every word we say.
And we're cross-wired. So they've done many different studies on the smiling where your brain and your body really don't know the difference. So the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken, in this case, it doesn't really matter. If you smile, you'll start to release those happy hormones and chemicals. And if you are happy, you tend to smile. Yeah. So, I mean, it works. It's either way. Yeah. They trigger the same thing.
So through my healing process, I figured there's a recipe.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to say attack it. We address it. in different ways, somatically in the body, subconscious mind, nervous system, movement, community support, and knowing the mindset stuff, knowing how we tap in through hypnotherapy and our walls are down and we could really tap into our programming that we received from 0 to 7 that runs us 95% of the time. And you don't have to really go back to wonder what happened.
Yeah.
We can literally take a look at our life now and just say, where am I struggling? And what's not easy? And that's probably where the program is that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And we could easily tap into that and reprogram and rewire with hypnotherapy. Breath work opens us up to our subconscious mind automatically. So I was like, why aren't we utilizing this portal and this entryway the right way? And I made it a mission to teach the other part of mindset, subconscious mind, nervous system, visualization, because the subconscious doesn't know reality versus imagined.
Yeah.
So in my breathwork sessions and how I teach it and I certify in is teaching them this component, and a hypnotherapy certification is coming too. So they walk away as a hypnotherapist and the neurobreathwork certificate. And every word that is said, every song that is played, every lyric that is heard affects and is accepted right in during breathwork. So you have to be very careful. So I made it a mission to kind of teach that so we can dive deep, pull those roots out. Like the breathwork class I had just yesterday, the lady, she said that she's been working on something for 30 years. It was this deep, deep pain that even massage therapists she's been everywhere. And she got out and she goes, I tapped into that and I think it's gone.
Wow.
And it 30 years. And it was powerful. It was so powerful. And I just was like, this is why that class happened.
Yeah.
This lady had this childhood programming that was very deep in the subconscious, and we were able to go into that entryway through the breath, through the visualizations, through the commands, through the subconscious mind, and somatically, and pull out what was there. And everyone has a different experience, and breathwork shows up very differently.
And differently the more you do it too.
Yeah.
Like I think any breathwork I've ever been in, every one is different. You know, sometimes I'm laughing, sometimes I'm crying, sometimes I'm screaming.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's great.
But it's so powerful. And I love that. I'm hoping that the people that, you know, you're sitting with things, if you're sitting there at home or you're listening to this in the car, whatever you're doing, that you hear that things can change. I think that that's the overwhelming message here, is that things can change. And a lot of this is just unconscious programming. You know, your subconscious is kind of like taking the wheel and steering. But if you can trick it, if you can use these pathways, if you can use these tools and say, okay, and let's put them all together and then hit you with a bomb so that you can release something from 30 years in one session, you know, like that's the power. The power isn't these long drawn out like process, a little here, a little here, a little here. Not to say that sometimes that's not useful, that we all work through things at the right time and the right process that we need. However, you're like, let's just do it.
It's time. You know, we've held on for so long.
Yeah.
And when is now a time to just say, you know what, enough is enough, and I'm ready for joy. I'm ready for happiness. I'm ready to commit to my life. Life is short. It passes in a blink of an eye, and we deserve it. We are worthy of it. And sometimes it's so minor and so subconscious. It's like someone that I, help with public speaking, social anxiety. And it wasn't even anything traumatic. It was him remembering that he went up to write on a chalkboard and he tripped, but no one made fun of him. They loved him, and everyone just laughed. He laughed. But the subconscious mind's trying to protect us. So what does it do? Last time you were in front of people, you tripped.
Yeah.
And they laughed. And but it doesn't realize I was okay. You don't have to protect me. So we go in, and safety is the treatment. If we feel safe, inner child work, I do a lot of inner child work. When that inner wounded child or abandoned child feels safe and we unstuck them from that time period and bring them back. Like, I'm here now. You're safe.
Yeah.
This is where we are. This is reality. It's not there.
Yeah.
Huge shifts happen.
So many people get stuck in the past. I feel like they're looking back over their shoulder at what used to be instead of actually embracing life, you know? You hear it. You hear it in people's language, right? You know, we're both trained to hear the language patterns, right? And if you start paying attention to people in your life or yourself, you'll notice that, do you tell the same stories? Do you go after the same things? Do you look at, oh, this or that? What is those reactions that are happening? Because most of the time it's not now.
Yeah. And what are you losing by not addressing it and showing up for yourself and doing the work so you can live an amazing life, you know? And that's one thing when we think about that. Tomorrow isn't a day on the calendar. You know, someday isn't a day on the calendar. Yeah. And it's a choice. We have a choice, the perception of it, our environment. And facilitating it has been such a special thing for me because I know I was there at one point. And I remember both times back when I lost my parents and just last year. And I was like, whoa, here we go again. But now I know how to do it.
Yeah.
If I was my client, what would I tell them to do? And I put myself through exactly what I do with others. Yeah. And I had to put myself through the ringer and feel it and cry and scream. But I remember being at the beach calling my best friend and I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And she's like, like tough love, right? I had different types of people in my life. Like, you do this, go NLP yourself. But
go NLP.
Yeah. She's like, go do something. But
do that thing you do.
And then I had the compassionate friend and I had the one that would just let me cry. Like the support system is so important. But I remember feeling like that. And we've probably felt like that and feel, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm going to make it. And I'm here to tell you, you're going to make it. And you're going to make it even better with more joy as you allow yourself to go through the inner work, you know? And it's a forever practice.
Forever. And as long as you allow yourself to go through it, right? It's like we're playing a video game. Like, you're going to constantly move levels up. You don't go backwards. You keep on going to the next level and the next level.
Like the nicer outfits and the armor that you want to upgrade.
Yeah.
You know, it's just upgraded versions of us.
Now you can shoot fire out of your hands.
I want to shoot fire out of my hands. I've always wanted to freeze people, but
maybe that's coming.
Yeah.
We're learning how to manipulate time and space.
And energy is real. And it takes us to the pranic healing and the energy frequency that we have and allowing ourselves to stay there with the thoughts and moving. Our issues are in the tissues, I always say. So moving that energy. And I know I'm going to start doing some embodied dance here. So
I'm excited. And hopefully you'll teach some of your certifications with us.
Yeah, I would love that.
You know, but you kind of do it all.
I just feel like we need to.
Yeah.
We need to do a holistic approach to it. And sometimes it gets serious. And like I talked about the inner child and we're being serious and we're crying. But then what are we filling it with?
Yeah.
We have to fill it with love and community and dance and joy and laughter.
And moving.
Yeah. And that's through that, like moving
and the breath work and the other stuff. Like, I mean, I gotta say, like, so for about 6 months, I used to go for hikes all the time. I used to work out like crazy. I was on 3 soccer leagues, and in my old incarnation, I was even a personal trainer and different things like that. But I don't know what's happened. And like maybe since before Liberate Hollywood, I would go to the gym a little bit back and forth, but. For most of this like pandemic, it's been like, no. I mean, there was a period of time where I was hiking every day because I needed to get out of my depression and my funk from letting go of Liberate Hollywood. But then something happened where I shifted that. And the last like month or two, it's been like, blah. And I just said, I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to go. I can't tell you how much has shifted in my mindset.
Yes.
Right? And it's not just the endorphins.
And it's the body.
It's the body just moving, because I'm not doing anything too crazy yet. It's not like I'm like super like endurance where it's triggering those massive endorphin rush. It's just moving, physically moving. And I'm like, whoa. Like completely game changing, right?
Our cells aren't coagulated anymore. They're getting hydrated.
Yeah.
They're moving. Everything's connected on a quantum level, you know? So I love it. That's how I am. When I don't,
yeah,
I'm like, what's wrong?
And it took, like, I ended up going to Kimberly, one of the facilitators here. She does a Kundalini Activation process, CAP, you know, and you kind of swiggle and wiggle and worm around. And that's what started it. Cause I was like moving in that, you know, from having this like Kundalini like reaction. And then I was like, I need to start working out. Like, I feel different, but because of that, you know, it's like the energy.
And now your momentum, it just start.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything huge at all. Like the smile. Doesn't have to be anything big.
You know,
simple.
I love that. I love that smile and how that changes. And then your heart. I mean, I just feel how much you truly care. Right? Like you really want people to live their best life and to get unstuck from whatever has been paralyzing them in their past.
Yeah.
And, you know, that comes through in how you communicate, in your heart, your message, your energy. And, you know, I think that that's one of the most important things to look for working with somebody, right?
Yeah, no, thank you. Everyone that I see, it's like, I see you. I see your best you. And I tell them, I wish you could see yourself through my eyes, through your creator's eyes, whoever you resonate with, or if you don't, or the people that love you. Everyone has a purpose and everyone has a light that they share. And losing my parents showed me really that the family picture that you see, if one is missing, the dynamic would be completely different.
Yeah.
So if you choose not to go and show up in the best version of you, your world is different. Someone's world that you know is different. The ripple effect is so real that when someone's shining, they're shining and rippling out. They're shining into my life. Like, it brings me joy because I learned so much from the wonderful, amazing people that I work with. And then I get to hear all the amazing things that they're doing. And I think that's the goal, is just to make this world a better place. But it starts with us. We have to fill our own well to be able to feed others in the right way.
Yeah.
So
what would you say when somebody's tuning in? Like, how often should somebody do breath work? How often should somebody go to a sound bath? Also, what's the process of working with you? Do you see people a few times a week or spread out a little bit? Is it this intensity? Take people through when they're hearing these massive transformations and these different modalities and types and things like that. What would be that expectation?
Well, if you were with me last year, I was doing breath work twice a day.
I know, I was hearing that. I was like,
and I've had people come to me 3 times a week because they're going through stuff, or they're really they're done, and they're ready. And I have different programs where, we go through every single session that I've mentioned. Mm-hmm. We start with deep mindset, the words deep down. We do breath work. We do sound. We do NLP. We do hypno. We do a Reiki. We do a deep pranic healing, because I do deep shamanic healing. Things can attach to us.
Yeah.
And I go in, bring your soul back, and we do all that stuff too. And then there's those that want to come once a week, those that come every month here to the sound baths that are regulars, and it rejuvenates them. And I feel like having a daily practice of even just your own breath into the belly is really important, and then taking it and diving deeper. And it all depends on what shows up, because it's a daily practice, right? And I feel like once a week or once every other week, some people are they have it down, they've done the work, and they need a once a month sound bath, and then they come to play and dance with us, you know.
It's more like a maintenance and a reactivation.
Yeah, and a community.
And
because then you're with people and you're like, you know, I'm not alone. I know that there's others out there that are working on it and thriving and doing it, and some are crying, and it's okay because it gives me permission to feel, and then it gives me permission to heal. You know, give yourself permission to show up for yourself, because so much of it is outward and serving, but self-care and self-love isn't selfish. You're actually being selfish by not doing it, because you're not then giving everyone else your best foot forward, your best self.
So true.
You know,
and that example of the ripple effect is really true. And the metaphor of if you took one person out of the family, how every dynamic would be different. And for people to really get that, it's like, yeah, you're not being selfish by taking care of yourself. You're actually being more self-serving to everybody in your life. I mean,
especially moms, you know, they do so much.
Yeah.
They do so much. And if they just were allowed themselves to give at least even just an hour to themselves, they're rejuvenated. The chemicals are moving, you know, it all goes down to biology to me, and of how our body works and how we can optimize it.
Yeah.
And then the things that we have control over, and the mastery of that is so important.
I love it. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at I am Gina Skye.
We'll put it down below.
Put it down below. I'm here once a month.
Yeah.
Also, and I have an office in Pasadena where I do a lot of the one-on-one sessions. I do them on Zoom.
Awesome. So with Zoom being no matter where you're at in the world or the United States, whatever, you know, we have some international listeners as well. You can work with this beautiful soul.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
If you're in LA, come here and enjoy
It's a beautiful place. I'm super happy here. The energy here is so amazing. You've always created such a beautiful intention. And you're the same. It's just like, that's the intention that you want, is to create that ripple and allow a space where people like me can come and share. And I've made some amazing lifelong friends from it. And I've witnessed miracles through the work. If you're thinking that this is just the way I am, if you're thinking that, it may work for someone else and not me, just give it a shot.
Yeah,
just give it a shot. There's nothing. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain.
Maybe a little bit of money, but I think you still have, like sometimes going and having a bad meal somewhere.
Make it worth it.
Well, thank you so much, Gina. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation today, and looking forward to your certifications and more sound baths. Maybe we can get her more than once a month. Maybe I'd
love that.
Some more breath work and stuff like that. So keep an eye on our calendar too. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like and subscribe, share it on YouTube with your friends, and if you comment, it helps the algorithm. So do us a solid, even if you just do a thumbs up in the comment, I'll be happy. Thank you so much, and until next time. If you enjoyed this conversation, like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you want some more amazing resources on your path of liberation, head over to liberateyourself.com and sign up for our mailing list. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram at Liberate Hollywood, all one word, or Liberate Emporium, all one word. Until next time, liberate yourself. Hi everybody, I'm Cristina, founder of Liberate. This is our mascots, Miss Piggy and Mr. Chew. Liberate is like the Willy Wonka chocolate factory for spirituality. You might wonder what the heck that is. And so basically, Liberate is a place of sheer magic, activating and reigniting that magic into you so that you can live your fullest potential and most fulfilled life. When you walk through the door, you're gonna see magic everywhere you look. You look down and you see a crystal floor made with over 10,000 pounds of crystals.
You say that's a lot, but I know I laid them and had to do numerous trips to the crystal store to buy more and more crystals. There's all of these beautiful, magical gemstones that are activating and creating healing from the beneath and the surface. You see the tree of life when you first walk in. You go upstairs and every room has its custom sacred geometry mural in it. And then you notice that each of the rooms are labeled with different names of deities or archangels from different traditions and religions from all over the world. This is Liberate. Liberate is a space of union. Liberate is a space of creativity. Liberate is a space of expansion. And we're here to help heal you, transform, and help you rediscover yourself.